This is how climate activists at the COP29 summit reacted when the first draft was released. Their silent protest voicing the gulf that exists between targeted climate finance and the road to reach there. The summit, that was to end on Friday, has run into overtime after a draft deal that proposed developed nations take the lead in providing $250 billion in annual climate finance by 2035. The amount is more than double of what developed countries are currently paying, but falls way short of the target that has been set.
Yeah, $250 billion is not what's needed in the context of clear agreement that we need $1.3 trillion for the developing country share of external finance. But it's a start. The question is there a credible pathway to build on that towards the $1.3 trillion by 2035? If there's not, and this is the final answer, it's not going to be acceptable to developing countries.
World governments at the summit in Azerbaijan's capital Baku are tasked with agreeing a sweeping funding plan to tackle climate change. But talks have been marked by division between wealthy governments resisting a costly outcome and developing nations pushing for more. Governments expected to lead the financing include the European Union, Australia, the US, Britain, Japan, Norway, Canada, New Zealand and Switzerland. The draft invites developing countries to contribute voluntarily, but emphasized that paying in climate finance would not affect their status as developing nations at the UN. That has been a red line for countries including China and Brazil. The other worry is the return of Donald Trump.
The U.S., obviously under Trump, if he pulls out of the Paris Agreement on day one, as he said he will do, will not be part of that $250 billion, at least for the next 4 years. Now, the goal is a 2035 goal. One thing we know, there will be a new U.S. president in 2029, less than halfway through this period, and we don't obviously know who that's going to be. It could be someone with a very similar view to President-elect Trump, or it could be someone more in line with Presidents Obama and Biden, which would get us back into Paris and start contributing. But for right now, you have to assume the U.S. is off the playing field for the next 4 years.
Host Azerbaijan agrees that $250 billion doesn't correspond to climate goals, but says it will push the envelope further. But given that funding has always been a thorny issue, there is skepticism.
The developed countries are offering $250 billion when developing countries need trillions. It's like bringing a garden hose into a wildfire. It is outrageously inadequate, the climate crisis that we are facing. We need fire trucks. We don't need buckets of water.